any activity, I now ask two questions. And the first question is, why is this important? And the second question is, well, what's the problem we're trying to solve? If we don't ask those two questions, then we are likely to meander, not necessarily to great effect, to come to a conclusion. So, I think this summit is important, is extremely important, for two reasons. We've done a great deal of lean experimentation and learning on the shop floor, in the office, in the hospital, at the point of delivery of that service or product. And we've understood a great deal about the principles for designing value streams, for linking activities together along the flow of value creation and trying to manage that as a whole as opposed to managing individual activities. And we've learned all of the techniques for helping people learn how to manage those value streams. But it's now time to move one level up, and that is to think about the organization as a collection of value streams. To think of the organization actually as a system, as a set of value streams that interact, and I'll talk a bit more about that. So actually it's time to begin to learn the language of seeing the organization as a collection of processes, value streams as I would call them, with all the feedback loops, with all of the signals from the process that allow us, if we are listening and can see them, to actually take the right steps to change the performance of that system. So I think my hunch is the IT industry has a great deal to teach us about thinking in terms of systems. So that's one potential synergy. And so I'm very pleased that this initiative's been taken, because I'm very aware that there are a lot of work has been done quite independently in using lean and agile and other things in the IT industry that is not really connected with the rest of the lean movement. And I think this is the opportunity to do that, and it's extremely important to do that. So what is the problem we're trying to solve? If all we're trying to do is make the creation of software or the supporting of an IT infrastructure more efficient, well, that's fine. But actually, I think we know a lot about how to do that. We can learn more. There's a great deal to refine. But I think what the real value is actually not only using IT to create new value, and there's absolutely no doubt that that's a very, very important part of this, but also how to engage IT to enable the creation of value in existing organizations. So I think those are the problems that we're trying to solve. We're trying to both help the IT industry improve its efficiency and effectiveness, but also to synchronize, to enable IT to play a significant role in improving value creation rather than simply making it more complicated. My hypothesis, lean is a journey. My current hypothesis, and this is a moving feast, of a definition of lean is as follows. And I choose my words very carefully. Lean, I think, is the practice, this is not theory-based, this is derived from experience. That's one of the key points I'll make in a minute. So lean is the practice of using the scientific method. The scientific method, the PDCA, the hypothesis, the testing, the plan, do, check, act process, in order to gain insights into how we can intervene in a dynamic system to make it improve. So that's the scientific method. It's the practice of using the scientific method to solve business problems. Not just for the sake of being a bit more efficient, but as I'll show in a minute, actually, we have to link the effort to solving a business problem if we're going to sustain interest, but also if we're going to actually create value. So think about that. It's the practice of using the scientific method to solve business problems in order to create value. And all value is the result of a process, a sequence, a value stream, a value creation process, and understanding how we can improve that process will create additional value. So that's my current hypothesis for an embracing definition of lean. And it's very different from where we started out. You know, lean is a way of eliminating waste. That was great for getting people's attention. And that actually helped us a great deal. If you start with lean thinking, I think it starts with the word, Muda. You never heard of Muda, but you will now, kind of thing. And it grots people's attention, but actually, of course, Muda is a symptom of other problems, which we will go into in a minute. So it's the practice of using the scientific method or the scientific approach, and we can have some discussions about that, to solve business problems in order to create value. And value always is defined in three ways. Value for the customer, absolutely, and that's been the most absent, talked about but absent, and that's clear. Lean has focused on defining value back from the customer. Second, value has to be also tangible to the people experiencing the process, either the customer as the patient or the people or staff working in the process. There have to be tangible win-win benefits for them to collaborate in the continued evolution of this system. This system is highly dependent on their willing collaboration. And third value for the organization is, on the one hand, survival and growth and prosperity for the organization. So we have to always think of value in three terms. If we can't measure the value in terms of improved patient experience or customer experience, improved staff experience, and in terms of business results, and the currency of business, of course, is money. If we can't measure those three, then we are probably not focusing on the right things. So, let's step back and do a little bit more reflection. In the light of what we now know, and our knowledge is evolving all the time, what is the true significance of the Toyota example? I think it's extraordinarily significant in management terms and will outlast the success or not of Toyota as an organization. But what Toyota did was create a unique and operationalized synthesis of the three major improvement streams. It's turned those streams into an operational system that demonstrably performs better. And it's that we need to really understand. The first strand, of course, is thinking in terms of process, thinking in terms of the flow of the work that creates the value. So it's taking the end-to-end perspective. And that goes way back to the Venetian Arsenale. It goes way back to Henry Ford's original concept of the Model T. It's organizing the flow of work to create value as a integrated whole, rather than as a disintegrated, sub-optimized, point-optimized set of activities. So that process focus, the value stream focus, is fundamental. It can be traced right back in history. The second is equally significant, actually probably even more significant. And that came from the learning by doing process that was articulated in the Training Within Industry program developed by the US government to teach women replacing men in the factories who had gone off to fight during the Second World War, to teach women, largely women, industrial practice in a hurry. And this Training Within Industry program has a quite specific approach to learning by doing, because it is in fact the practice, the skill is the practice of being able to operate in a very complicated and very disciplined environment. So learning by doing, the TWI process, actually was the foundation of Toyota's teaching process as well. As John Shook describes when he was tasked to translate the Toyota manuals in preparation for NUMI. In frustration at the ambiguity of some of the translation, he was finally taken by his Japanese mentor into another room, and he gave him the original TWI manuals in American, in English we would call it, and said, here, this is where we got the stuff. And Ono only slightly modified the TWI material for Toyota. So the foundation of this is an experiential learning process. The third is the use of the scientific method, the plan, do, check, act, the focus on understanding variance, the focus on focusing project management, which came from the quality movement. And all of those three things Toyota integrated and operationalized as a business system. Very significant. This is a system that was derived out of practice. It was not derived out of theory. That is its strength. The other strength is that it is an experiential learning process. And so our success depends on our ability to teach others to do it themselves. This is not an expert-based system. The previous Sloan management system was based on creating expertise in different functions that took the decisions, and the shop floor did what it was told. An integrated flow where you are removing the buffers and making work interdependent depends on a very different set of skills and disciplines and thought processes. And you only learn those by doing, which makes the consulting, which makes lean actually not fit with the traditional consulting model. The traditional model on I'm hiring an expert to do it for me. That doesn't work. And so the truth is the only things that last are what people do for themselves. So the consultant is only as good as their ability to teach the pupil to actually learn how to do it. The whole Socratic method of learning and teaching is fundamental to developing lean practice, lean skills, which is essentially learned through practice.